I
Go.
left them in.
Hmm. There we go.
Welcome, welcome.
Susie. There we go. Just love seeing all the faces. Hmm. Welcome. So it's good to have you here. We have somebody with a secret code name now. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe it's a robot.
who knows? You never know these days what you're going to get. Um, but I just want to welcome everybody, and I recognize some of you are new faces, so I'm going to welcome you if this is your first time to join us. It looks like Mara. It is.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Good
Hello.
morning. Another Aussie. So, anyways, we do these free sessions every month just as a way for parts of our community to connect, but also for people that are new to what we do, just to kind of meet us and experience what we offer. This will be the last one we're going to offer. We've done this now for 5 years. And we just decided that this year, because we're making a lot of wonderful changes to what we offer and how we offer it next year, that it felt like a good time um, to make a transition. So we will offer something like this again, but we won't call it this, and it'll have maybe a bit of a different format. But one of the things that we focus a lot on in our work is paying attention to the field. And Karen, who's been my faithful sidekick all this time, we've started to realize that the field was getting a bit tired and it was wanting us to kind of refresh itself. And we got it over the finish line, so we got to December, but we felt like, oh, it just was time for something else. And the world is obviously in a profoundly different place than it was 5 years ago, and so we're going to be making some changes to account for that. So. Um, we normally sort of let the spirit guide us in terms of how we organize these BCEs, and so we have a sort of a thought for today. But it's your opportunity just to kind of reflect and check in with yourself. And if you've got questions or thoughts as we go, you can put it in the chat box, and Karen will track that, or just raise your hand. We can all see each other, so that's all good. For any of you that are new, is there anything you'd like to ask before we dive in, or anything you'd like to share? Okay, no brave souls yet. Time will come. Anyways, so for this last one, I was reflecting on what would be a good way to complete this journey. And um, one of the things that we try to do a lot in our work is helping people to pay attention to their present moment. There's a lot of rush to get somewhere in our life. We have a lot of technologies now to make that faster and better for us theoretically. But one of the things that I've always believed about coaching is we often got too excited by trying to get somebody to get somewhere else without having them recognize where they actually are now. Um, and and so I was thinking about like what would be helpful for us tonight. So I'd like to do a little guided practice that will kind of create some, hopefully some material for you, some insights for you. And then we'll break you into some small groups, which we do a lot, to let you share with your colleagues kind of what emerged for you. Okay? And so what I'm going to invite you to do, you're welcome to keep your camera on or off, whatever suits you. But the main thing I would like to invite you to do is just to quiet yourself and allow yourself to relax into your chair. So most people, normally we would ask you to close your eyes, but I'm not going to ask you to close your eyes unless you really have to or want to, but then do what you want. But you're going to need your eyes for this practice. unlike most of the other ones that we do. But maybe you can just like soften your gaze, maybe look down a little bit just to let them rest for a bit. Our eyes get really tired because they're grasping a lot of things during our day. But and so like, just to quiet yourself and look gently and start to notice your body as it settles into your chair. And sort of notice your lungs and what they're doing to breathe you. And for some of you, your day is just beginning, and some like me, our day is getting near its end. So just notice what seems present to you as you show up in this moment in time. So for our meditation, what I would like you to do is just to go inside yourself and ask yourself, what are you noticing about yourself right now? What's happening in your now? You might think of this in terms of your body. What is it telling you? Are there parts that feel excited or tired? You might notice this in terms of your heart and your emotions. How do you feel in the now? You might notice your mind. What's running around up there? What's occupying your attention? And you might notice as we sit here that your now is changing because it's no longer the now, it's now in the past. But as an anchor for our process, what's it like to be you right now? And just to mark this, there might be a headline or some words or an image that comes up just as an anchor for you in the moment. And now I'd like you to lift your eyes and look across the room or across wherever you are and imagine that your future is over there. And just notice how far away does it feel? And what do you notice in yourself as you look at your future? Your eyes might move to something that you see in the distance that might remind you of part of your future, might even speak to you. And what happens to the you in the now as it notices and feels the future that it's looking at? As you get a sense for what's coming up for you about the future, how far away is it in time? Maybe in space, but certainly in time. And lastly, how does it feel to look at your future? What comes up for you? And now, lastly, I'd like you just to notice the space in between now and then. You can think of this as sort of the field in which we're moving. So as you hold this gap between now and the future, what's out there in the middle? And as you imagine yourself moving across that middle in the field, kind of what is your experience? And is there something that you want to attend to in the middle that might make the future closer to what you're looking for? And the wonderful thing about time and space is the past, present, and future are all here at the same time. So as we bring this sort of meditation to a close, just notice what seems different for you now. As we prepare to come back to the room, Karen, if we could have rooms of 3 people each, that would be fantastic. And we're going to give you a half an hour. You have plenty of time to talk to each other. And I would like to, in your groups, just to invite you to share what emerged for you on your little journey of your mind. And what did you notice about yourself as it moved through time? All set? Okay. Enjoy your conversations.
And there's one group that has four in it. And
All right. The
the rest,
special group.
you're very special.
Box.
There we go. All right. I'm gonna take that away. All right. So now we have, oh, and Marilyn's doing it. Oh, that's great, Marilyn. Yeah.
I know. I'm actually going to switch over from my phone because I was in the car. So I think I
Okay.
can do this pretty well. I'll just rejoin.
That's impressive. You're pretty good shape. You can just like sit sideways.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. I don't get me started with this whole phone thing already. It was a challenge. So let's just
Okay.
join. Okay, gonna go back to my computer now. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Anyways, I would just like to check in with the rest of you and love to hear a bit about what emerged for you in your conversations.
This is Elaine. I can start off by saying I moved so far on so little of what the short amount of words you used in those 5 or 6 minutes. And I don't know that I have to get into detail, but Yeah, I have this big project coming up, and it seemed out in the future, and now it's already come back to be present, and everything I do now is part of being in the project as opposed to waiting it to get approval in X number of months from now. So it's a whole different perspective.
Okay, very
Great.
good. Thanks, Len.
I'd love to share two things that the discussion in our group brought up for me. And one of them was a group member was sharing like how the importance of the somatic work being in your body and all the questions you prompted us to be in our body and notice, and how it's so important to coaching work, but most coach training schools are really not teaching embodied,
No.
skillfully helping people get in their bodies. And I was watching an interview with Dr. Sue Morter like 6 months ago, and this quote really stuck with me, which she said, the mind is so desperately trying to bring about what the soul or the spirit wants, and it just can only operate off of its past and current conditioning. And so the somatic work just expands the resources that we have available to us. And it's like, how can we be doing coaching without that? And at some point, I really start to become aware of that. Like we have to be getting people's in their bodies. And it was hesitant as a newer coach to be doing that. And then warming up to it more and more. And now it's less of an activity and more of just a way of holding the session, which I forever want to get more skillful at. But that was one. And then the presence, the power of presence, like as a coach, just remembering from a learning from a mentor coach at one point that like bringing a clear channel as a coach and just our presence, it's not just a nice to have. It doesn't just create a safe space, but it actually like brings a vibration of this possibility field of kind of pure potentiality when we show up with presence, and how much that actually impacts the coaching. It's not just something we do as a part of an ICF core competencies, like be present. It's like it's a skill to bring. So yeah.
Emily got to experience that herself. She would bravely volunteer to be a coachee for my last WBEX session. So it's quite powerful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other observations or experience? Pamelia, good to see you again.
I know. I haven't been able to make very many of these this year. It's been like such a busy, crazy year. But the group I was in, it was so amazing because usually I leave when we go to the breakout rooms. But I stayed today and it was
Yeah.
amazing. And what was in the field, like remember when I was in narrative coaching, it took me the longest to grasp
I remember that.
I struggled with that, but now I got it. Like it was 2023 when I came through the program,
Yeah.
and I talk about it all the time. But the field arranged itself so that we were all in there and we were all connected. Our stories were connected. There were connections in each of our story that took us immediately into liminal space. That was amazing because we were able to share things that were profound for us that we don't always share with people. But there was connections from each of us right there in the field. And it was what we needed to hear. Each of us needed to hear that to encourage each other to what we are becoming. And I always think of words that you say all the time.
Yeah.
I quote them a lot, but we were becoming and we just had like a moment of meeting. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. When I have opportunities to observe other kinds of coaches, I get exhausted watching them because they're trying so hard to do a great job that they're efforting to make things happen. And I said, it's all happening all right there anyways. What? And anyways, so that's a very heartening story. So thank you. Other experiences or things that came up for people? Hmm. Oh, yeah, Marilyn, there you are. And you're on mute.
The concept of this middle path between the future and the present. Somehow I found that a great visualization and matched what sort of what I'm doing right now, which is a very kind of weird concept because we don't usually think of it that way.
No.
People say, "Where do you want to be in 5 years?" Which I never answer, and apologies to anyone who feels differently, but I don't find that particularly helpful question.
Yeah.
So I like that middle. It's right in this moment right now, and then sort of what's immediately next. Because I think we
Yeah.
can go, get ourselves wrapped around the axle when we think sort of it just becomes undoable, and you can't put one foot in front of the other when you don't see that middle territory, I guess. So I found that really useful.
Hmm.
Um, I love how you ended, David, with just sort of that reminder that the present includes the past and the future already. And having just gone through the narrative coaching program, I feel, it made me think about the scaffolding and how we build,
Hmm.
scaffolding for, serious play or moving into bringing it back out into the world. And just comes back to the moment where the past and the present is there, and the extent to which we can live from that place is so powerful. Um,
Hmm.
and I was in the breakout group where we were talking about somatics, and I feel like it's the somatic work that just helps us get there. And I agree that these approaches that are more sort of in the mind, like to ask for a goal, is a mind place, right? I think. Um, but to bring ourselves into the present using somatic work just feels extremely powerful. And I think one person used the word the potentiality or something like this. It just,
Hmm.
yeah, it feels very, yeah, it's great. Thank you.
One of the activities we used to do a lot when I was doing live retreats before the pandemic was we'd have people sort of mark out where they are now and then mark across the room somewhere and put an object or a chair for the future they were trying to move towards, but maybe they were struggling or it wasn't happening for them. And then we'd have them just slowly, I mean, like really, really slowly walk towards that other line and watch what happens. And inevitably they will stop at some point. I can't go anymore, or something's happening here. And then we just get them to like, to Emily, what you're saying, just to drop into their body. Like, what is your body noticing? Like, what's it sensing or what's it afraid of? And we even get them looking back, and looking forward and looking down and kind of like, and we have, as a species, we have hundreds of thousands of years of history navigating our environment. And now we have GPS, which is handy in some ways, but people have lost, I've observed, they've lost the ability to pay attention. They've lost the ability to, to find things because they're used to this. The answer to every question is looking at their phone. And so then so I notice when I've done some live things, it's not as easy for people to know how they're doing because they've outsourced knowledge about how they're doing to their phone or where they're doing or where they want to go. And so I think one of the invitations we have is sort of like, yeah, sort of reinitiate people back into their primitive being, so they can actually answer those questions when we ask them. Yeah. Mm. Sheila's laughing.
That is so fantastic because
Mm.
everybody is telling me how many minutes they've slept for and how many steps they've walked. And I'm just like, how do you feel? Maybe just put that thing down. I'm going to use that line from now on. Outsourced how you feel to your phone.
Yeah, there you
Thank you.
go. You're welcome. Mm.
I've had several clients tell me that they consulted ChatGPT to figure out what to talk about in the session.
Okay. And it can be helpful as we found because I work part-time for an AI company. We have found that people are more willing to talk to and get feedback from the algorithm than they are from other humans because there's no risk. They're actually more willing to take on feedback. So it's really fascinating. Um, and I find it a useful dialogue partner. So I came up with two really cool terms for my new book in this long-standing debate with ChatGPT about what to call them. Yeah, so I was very happy. I could have called and bugged some of my friends, but this was easier. Yeah. Hmm. Maybe we switch gears a little bit. So I'm happy to share a little bit about what our plans for next year, but particularly for those of you who've been to these before, is there anything that feels important? So you're here at this historic moment where after 5 years, closing these down as they are. Is there anything that feels important that you would like us to talk about, or anything you'd like to reflect on for yourself and bring into the room? Um, any wishes you have?
I think rarely do you get as much time to consider and listen when you go to some other event, or that they give you 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like it's nice to have that space for reflection.
Yeah, I would agree. Hmm.
I think for me, if I may share,
You may.
all of the BCEs that I've had the opportunity to take part in um, have been really supportive for me for a lot of self-reflection. And one of the having gone through several of the offerings that you've had over the last few years, David, I jokingly said at the end of can't remember the name of the last one that ended in June off the top of my head.
It's okay.
Um, but it was funny when it got to the end of it. I mean, bittersweet moment because I knew you didn't have anything necessarily set up for the fall. And it was just like, I've been in therapy for 2 years and now it's done. But this, but this is a kind of an extension of and a continuation of that.
Yeah.
And for everyone that have had the opportunity to interact with during these sessions, they have just been so meaningful for me
Mm.
and done so much to support more of that awareness of myself. And somebody shared here, it's about I think it might have been Pamela, who am I being, who am I becoming? Because
Mhm.
I wrote here, and it was great conversation that I had with Marie in January, of remembering to do that human being instead of the human doing, to
Mhm.
take these times to pause and reflect. And that's been just so beneficial. And someone else had mentioned about, we need to set these goals, whether it's in your personal life or in the workplace. You must have these goals to work towards. And I think through all of everything that I've learned over the last 3 years, I've developed a great deal of comfort in that not knowing and trusting that whatever I need will appear when it needs to.
Mm. Thank you,
So
Colleen.
thank you to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
See you, Len. Thank you. Stephanie.
As someone who's been here from the very beginning, thank you,
Mhm.
David and Karen. We experienced something today, which I think has been one of the best learnings for me, and that is the comfort of silence.
Mm.
Just being able to witness each other and like as I look across the gallery, just to see what's, because I don't know what's going on in anyone else's interior, but there's just such a goodness. And so that silence I really find precious. So thank you for teaching that, Dave.
You're welcome.
And Stephanie, on the heels of you being here and anybody else from the very beginning, I blew the dust off of these glasses. Does anybody?
Oh, yes.
They're prism glasses, and at the end of one of the very first courses that I was a part of, we all
Yeah.
bought these and surprised everybody in the end. So as I'm looking at each of you, it just right now, I know I look ridiculous, and I think that's fine. And I just the multi dimensions that each of you bring into this room, it's a place that I can count on to just come and be and hear and listen and know that this field and all that you brought into and all that you're going to be leaving with and in the future, it is deep time, and it's been a privilege to witness and be a part of each of you. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now I can really see.
Excellent. And Laura.
What I'm hoping is that this is only my second session, and I'm hearing like what I'm hearing is this a sense of an ending, but I just got here, and so I'm hoping this may be an end to the current program, but that I don't want it to go away. I still, because literally you give it in the 2 sessions, I have peace. And for me to have peace is really important. And to be present, to enjoy the moment, to not have, well, enough said, but please don't go away. Please come back with something else.
So if I have a knock at my door, I know it's going to be you bugging me. When does it start again? When does it start again?
Yeah, you better not give me your address.
No, I will not now. I might have
Definitely
before,
not
but
now.
not now. No. Well, let me just share a bit about next year, and that will help put your mind at ease, hopefully. So as some of you know, I've had long COVID for 3 years, and it's taken. I'm doing much better now, but it's taken a kind of a toll, and I kind of got to this place where I've been teaching this kind of work for nearly 30 years, and I wanted to be able to do uh, some new things. So I'm not going to teach anymore the way that I've taught in the past. We're not going to have programs. We're actually going to use our own work to reinvent ourselves. And we're entering into a time when we need 2 things we don't have enough of. One is what you just described, Leora, a safe place to just be, to resettle our nervous system, self-regulate, quiet ourselves, find ourselves again, find our body again, and do that with other people, so we can kind of co-regulate and then use that as a way of deepening our own maturity. So my book that's out in the spring will be all about that process. And at the same time, the other half of the book is about life beyond coaching. So coaching was built in a different era that doesn't exist anymore, and the world needs other things, particularly as other institutions struggle like healthcare and education. And so we're gonna do something that I've wanted since the very beginning, but I'm now just gonna go do it, which is you'll have if you want a more traditional outcome like a certificate in narrative coaching, we'll give you a map. Do these things and you'll have that. But the main thing we'll be doing is just creating a community with a beautiful library of everything that I've ever produced. And I'm going to repackage it all in smaller pieces. And then we're going to create opportunities for people to connect with each other. So I'll give you a small example. We have I think, five women in their mid 70s in our current online retreat. And they have a very unique set of challenges and opportunities, and they're realizing they feel quite invisible, even in towns where they've lived for a long time because of their age and they're not working anymore. And so I said, well, you should just go kick some ass, like just band together and go do something, help each other, right? And then we have other people that work in similar domains, and so we're going to have a such that all the materials will be available, to, all of them, everything. And then you go to the library like you were as a kid, and you check out the books you need today. And then you say, who else checked out these books? Who else is working on this with me? And so, because the other thing we need besides taking care of ourselves and with each other is the ability to imagine new ways of being and doing our work. The current forms, which is why I created integrative development, the current forms are not sufficient anymore at all. And we need things we don't have yet. And a new paradigm for thinking about that. And so we want to just create like a maker community where we take care of each other, but we also then imagine new ways of doing what we do. And along the way, you can study whatever you need out of the library to help you do that. And so eventually we'll get people to start creating things and come back and teach the community what they've developed. Or they add a book that they've written based on things they've learned in the community. And so I will become part of the ring of the circle of the community, not the center. I've been a hub for too long. And but I'll come in and do these kind of things once a month. I'll come in and do some other things. Might do dialogue with somebody from the community. I might showcase things from the book or new work. But I feel like the need to be in a safe and fertile community is going to be more important than ever. And the world does not need more programs. It needs more experiences, just like in narrative coaching. Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
Safety and fertility don't always go together.
No, but we need both of them.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So I would be curious. So how does that sound to you? But more importantly to me, in some ways, what would you most want for next year? If you had a magic wand and you could create what you needed to help yourself on your journey, what is it you are looking for? What are you wishing for? It's the time of year of Santa. Imagine Santa's here. What would you ask for?
I can share something, David.
Yeah, Aaron.
I'm part of Nancy Klein's Time to Think
Uh-huh.
community,
Mhm.
having done her facilitation and training. And once a month, we have a North America sort of everyone who's gone through the program meeting. And we have time to think with each other
Mhm.
in pairs, but we also have thinking partners that we agree like once a week to think with. So I think sometimes in these groups, finding other like-minded or people on similar wavelengths to us to partner with for coaching trades or holding space for one another has been one of the deepest gifts that I have given myself in the last couple of years, sinking into a community like that that's
Yeah.
similar to this but different. I think that the same vibe exists in your community and that there may
Yeah.
be opportunities for people, as you say, you find out who's checked out the same library books from you, and
Yeah.
maybe you pair up for coaching for 3 or 4 sessions
Yeah.
and see what emerges.
Thank you. Yeah, because you know what it's like in breakout rooms, it's like sort of luck of the draw. Sometimes they're like they're this rocket and they do amazing things, and other times it never quite gels and it doesn't quite go anywhere. And there's still some things to learn, like what agitates you and why does it bother you, and it still can add value to your journey. But in this way, I just feel like we're in a time when we need to be much more creative and courageous. And so being able to start with people that you trust and know and have built a committed relationship to in a way, even if for just a month or whatever, I think is going to be really important. So I really like that example. So thank you. Is it Sean?
Sorry, I think Colleen had her hand up first.
I was going to give you a chance to go.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm happy and it's bittersweet to be here and for it to be the last session.
Huh.
And when I saw online about this, how you were transitioning the format, for me, it felt like, well, the fact that um, it seems like a fantastic idea. And for me personally, I've spent the last 2 years feeling like I work in higher education and I'm building my coaching career and I'm still at the very beginning. And I felt like my educational background, like we're kind of fed this line in ICF type training that a lot
Yeah.
of things like psychoeducation, all these things are um, a lot of the skills that we bring as educators, like for example, are treated as irrelevant. You're not supposed to bring anything of your own.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the long story short, I'm excited about this format because I'm increasingly realizing that part of the reason I was stuck is that I want to do something that's a hybrid. I do stuff to do with the climate crisis, or I'm not like an expert by any means, but I know you've mentioned this in a couple of your
Yeah.
interviews I've heard you talk about, and just bringing together different disparate fields and realizing that I realized that I was stuck because I was just trying to do pure coaching, and I'm realizing something more like facilitation around more
Mhm.
overtly political. Like I feel like,
Yeah.
like we're kind of almost there's no one's it's almost a tacit thing. No one says don't be political, but it is kind of an underlying assumption in a
Mhm.
lot of coach training.
Yeah.
And as a very, I would say, political person, I've kind of just kind of going, oh, I don't have to be a coach like that. So I feel like it would be great to meet other people who are potentially in education and also interested
Mm.
in similar
Yeah.
kind of in between spaces.
The primary purpose for the book, in many ways, is to free ourselves to be all of ourself when we work. And so I mean, I've been in coaching for 30 years, but only because I figured I could make some money being myself. Um, and so my clients, they hired David. I don't put any labels on what I do. And I said, whatever you need, you can have. And I said, and so for each of us, but one of the things we'll do through the book is create a pathway for you to create your own integrative practice. And so my sort of mantra in the book is I want everyone to be able to bring all of who they are and all of what they know to bring to that client and come back to the fundamental narrative coaching question, which is what does this person need most right now? And my only measure is integrity. I never was really super fond of the military, not for them, but because of how they're often used. But I've come to over as I've kind of moved through life, I've come to having met a lot of men and women in the services. I've just come to really admire their dedication to integrity and um, and the strength they bring in that. And so for me, I want to be integrity with myself. I only do things I'm qualified to do, and I only I'm integrity with whatever agreements I make with my client and or whoever's sponsoring my client. And our clients don't care what it's called. They want help. They want to feel better. They want to achieve something. They want to go somewhere. And and as long as you're in integrity with what they've asked for and what you've offered them, then why should you withhold things that you have available that could be of extraordinary gift to them? Yeah. So, Colleen.
First question. When might we anticipate the release of your new book?
Well, it'll if all goes well on Sunday. I've got all the reviews back, and so I've got to make some changes now. But on Sunday, I should have it off to the publishing person, and I'm going sort of a hybrid route so I can get it done faster. Otherwise, it takes forever to get published now these days. So I'm aiming for February, March. That's what I'm aiming for. But I'll know more in early January when my publishing person gets back from the holidays.
Wonderful. Looking forward to that. So my Christmas wish would be that since you're going to be creating this community of resources for us, where we can go to look at everything that you've ever published,
Yes.
that would it be possible for you to make yourself available to us from time to time? Because I always have questions about something that you've written to make
You
sure I
do.
understand the meaning of what it was that you're trying to present.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of envisioning this. So those of you who have like people like Stephanie and Karen and others who've been around me for a long time, I'm happiest when I can just show up. I like making slides. I'm a photographer, so I love making slides. But but I'd rather just be hang out with people and talk. And so I can imagine some to Leora, to your point, that whatever we do like this is going to keep a sort of a fireside chat kind of feel to it. That what's emerging, and I want to bring like more um, current events in. I want to bring more systemic issues in, but let us just be with them in the way that we've come to be with them when we have these kind of sessions. And yeah, because I feel like we're in a world between worlds, and so we have to kind of step up to some new things. Sherry.
Yeah, thanks, David. I've only been here a handful of times, but I just want to reiterate this is a very unique and special place, and one in which I plan to continue to be involved in, however it morphs, evolves. So thank you. You said, I love what you said recently, free ourselves to be fully ourselves. Is that how you say? Okay.
Yep.
So, in theory, I just totally love that. So what I'm finding, and this is my wish, is what I'm finding as I move more into mediation and bridging and as well as coaching, and that's probably similar for everybody on this call. It's like if you're this kind of person, you end up in a lot of spaces. But in order to be ourselves, I feel like this space to actually really deeply practice. And you mentioned it, I think, a little bit, but did you say there are going to be these spaces where you can be very clear about the kind of practice so you can mature a lot? I love your maturities. You can mature a lot faster. Help us get there faster by just really immersing in the rigor of practice.
Yeah, so several things. So yeah, so I've got to still finish the details of this, but um, I've always been drawn to like artisans, people, and one of the things that like most coaches have never had is the discipline and exposure to things that musicians and athletes have. I mean, the science behind athletic performance these days is extraordinary. And the beauty of watching like a jazz band. There was a blues band, all black blues band I used to hear all the time when I lived back in California, and I just love watching them play because they would just like move between things without even talking, and it was just extraordinary because they'd known each other for decades, and we don't have that in coaching. We're wedded to these sort of strange competency models and things that don't really relate to real life. And so, to your question, I want to be able to offer you things that are more akin to how you would be training if you were an elite athlete or a musician or an artist, where we're going to use the AI platform for dedicated practice and feedback. We're going to have sort of creative spaces where you can incubate ideas you have. We're going to have little micro retreats where you can come resolve issues you observe are in your way. And so again, it's like a smorgasbord that you'll be able to like and like you might have 3 months where you're off doing something else. We'll go do that and come back. Now I'm realizing this about myself. I want this. And so you can't have everything because we can only do so much. But we want to be able to create a space where you can engage with the community in sync with where you're at on your journey and what you're most looking for. And um, I feel like that's going to be important.
Thank you.
Len.
Yes. So I mentioned a few minutes ago, how much the movement I had
Yeah.
from the input you provided at the very beginning, and it relates to that, and that is a resource um, that see if I can even explain it. I was in this. I've been coaching for over 20 years myself, and so and maybe 12 years ago or so, I was in it was a real personal issue that I had. And in a moment of clarity, I said to myself, if I can master this moment, it would mean so much to me, my family, and my clients.
Hmm.
And just and it did.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I've had several of those all along the way, paying attention of where what the gift that I end up getting for myself provides opportunity because of the job I do, the work I do as a coach. So and it happened here. So what's that resource that allows a coach to do that short of supervision because it's just coming in. Yeah, the the exponential growth of what the impact that coaches can have that we have the opportunity to do is to me would be enormous. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mara. Um, so again, that's the part we'll launch first. That'll be available in January. The other stuff will take a bit more time to put together. Um, no, I forgot what I was going to say. Um, oh well, it'll come back. Um, Anybody else want to share? Uh,
Just a trend I'm noticing and feeling into, and certainly within myself. So not saying anything for anyone else that I'm seeing that I don't already see within myself, but I think the world I mean, it's changing so rapidly and we just have no idea what's ahead um, within the AI landscape. And um, I don't think our collective consciousness is at the place where most of us work with clients who have a hard time dropping in and are very analytical. And it just seems like this support for people is going to be really needed, and just a basic return to their true nature and who they are. Like remembering them who they are without all these goals and these labels and these titles. So I'm just present to that as
yeah,
I move forward and offer the work I'm offering and try and think of creative ways to meet people outside of that very traditional coaching package thing that I don't think is a thing of the future in,
hmm.
in many ways. So, yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, and so part of the book and the effort for next year will be so coaching borrowed a bunch of things from psychotherapy when it started, like the therapeutic hour, as if it was some kind of gold. There's no research to support that. It just what happened in psychotherapy. And so I feel like we're going to free ourselves to show up in different time increments, different forms, different, yeah. And so, and then, I mean, years ago, I had this extraordinary opportunity to interview John Whitmore and Tim Galway, arguably two of the key people that started coaching. And they'd had a kind of a falling out, and I brought them back together in the article, and it was really beautiful. And one of the things they both said was they regretted calling this coaching. And for me, one of my fascinations in life is turning nouns into verbs. And so I think coaching will become a set of tools a set of practices that are very helpful and for many things, but we'll be freed from keeping coaching as a noun, and we won't even call ourselves a coach, as most of us won't. And already like the platform that I work with, the AI platform already, and we've heard this now from a number of coaching schools, we've showed them. It actually already using their modeling off narrative coaching, it already gives better feedback than even their teachers. And what we observed when we did pilots of the platform, this is in its early days, one of the things I realized that we observed was that most of the coaches didn't know how to get from an insight or a reflection or a revelation from the client. Now, how am I supposed to help them use that to change their behavior or change their mindset or change their story? And so, and AI is also very good at that within the confines of being programmed only on narrative coaching, not drawing from the universe. It's not very good there yet. And so I feel like, and we will, pretty soon even more of this stuff will be on our phone, right? And so how do we go back to being human? So I believe that the number one thing we offer people is showing up as a full human being for as long as we can give them. I think that does more than we realize for people, especially now, to your point, where like how would you set a goal if you don't even understand if and how there's going to be a future and what even remotely what that will be like? And I feel like we're going to need to be more agile, do more improvisation. So the model that we're working towards is this model of conscious improvisation, that we're inventing ourselves in this moment with extraordinary discernment and discipline. What are we being asked to be and do right now in this moment? That's all I can offer is this moment in time. And then tracking those moments in succession, like where's this heading and what might you need next? And but it requires a very different, which is why the focus is on our maturity, because you've got to be able to be mature to do that. Otherwise, you end up making it about yourself. Yeah. John.
I know I'm at the end of time here, but I was just curious, David, what your wish was.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. What is my wish? I wish to be healthy, so I'm working on that, but I smile when I watch other people flourish. And so my wish is to stand in circle with you and watch where you take all this. I've created more than a life's work of stuff, and I will continue to write because that's just the way my mind works. But my wish is that we create an environment that's coherent enough where people feel safe to go be and do what's important to them, and we get to watch and celebrate each other in doing that. So that would be my wish. Yeah.
Thank you.
That might be the perfect note to close on. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I think so. So
Yeah,
thank you for, even though that was not, you didn't come in knowing this, but I thank you that you're all here. And I think the universe was very kind. We gave us a good turnout and lots of wonderful new people. And yeah, so I'm really grateful and thankful. And just want to shout out to all the other people that have been with us for these BCEs for these last 5 years. So thank you. And thank you to
yeah,
Karen for holding space for me for all this time.
yeah. You're welcome. And it feels complete together.
It
And
does.
it's a beautiful thing. Thank you
It is a
for
beautiful thing.
making that so, everybody. Yes.
Yeah. Take care, and we'll see you again on the other side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
David,
Bye.
thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
All right. Thank you.